I try to remember if
Go.
I remember.
So,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA, and we're going to be talking about focus groups today. I'm not quite sure why Tom put market research. There's all kinds of ways you can do market research, which I'm going to touch on later. But he says, now let's do some market research to find out exactly what consumers say they think, they feel, they believe they'll do, but probably won't. Okay, and of course, there's a famous story about uh, an apparel manufacturer inviting women in, and they brought out a new line of scarves. It's probably from the 30s or something, and they asked the women which scarves they thought were the best, and then after the conversations concluded, they said the women could leave, but if they wanted to, they could take whichever one of the scarves they liked. And so it would have been better if they would have made them pay for it, because that is way different than just a free gift. As oh, what's his name? Anyway, Perskell's, what's his name? Dan Perskell's, Perskell. Anyway, um, when they were selling Trump signs, which no one had ever done before, like this last election last week, one of the candidates called me up and said, "Could we put a sign in your yard?" Sure. He didn't ask me to buy the sign, right? But Parskell did, and so we got really good information, right? And so what ended up happening was they kept track of the scarves that women took rather than the scarves they said they liked. And that much more closely matched the actual sales results, which is interesting. Okay, so this cartoon was inspired by a classic quote attributed to David Ogilvy, who was a big fan of direct mail, by the way. The trouble with market research is that people don't think what they feel, they don't say what they think, and they don't do what they say. Exactly, exactly. Which is also the trouble with anticipating consumer needs. Right? If anybody tells you they're going to guess what your customers want next, run. Right? Run. And that's basically the long and short of digital marketing. We're going to be in front of your consumer market before they know they need it. And we're going to tell them what they want, and they're going to buy, along with every other competitor that you have. The trouble with market research is that oh, we did that already. That's not to say that market research isn't important, but directly asking consumers what they want is inherently flawed. People don't really know what they would do at the moment of purchase or why they do it. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they'll do. They don't know how the purchase process happens. And thanks largely to the behavioral economics work of Daniel Kahneman, who wrote Thinking Fast and Slow, which is a wonderful book. George Mosier recommended it to me, and I did it on an audio trip on a trip to Colorado Springs, which is a long drive. Got the whole book done. It's 25 hours or something of book. Dan Kahneman, who died a couple of weeks ago, we know that our decision making in general is far less rational than we like to think. So if you think AI is going to tell you what someone is going to want next, you need irrational AI. You need artificial irrationality, not intelligence. It's still AI. As Daniel Kahneman put it, thinking is to humans as swimming is to cats. They can do it, but they prefer not to. Okay? Instead, how people think is mostly guided by System 1, fast, instinctive, and emotional. System 2 thinking, this is the doing math live. If you want to try and do math live, you probably should rethink that. Your emotions get in the way. System 2, mode of thought, slower, deliberative, and logical, is usually playing catch up, often rationalizing decisions we've already made. As Zig Ziglar put it, people buy on emotion and justify on logic. Also true. Gerald Zaltman who estimates that 95% of purchase decisions are subconscious, created a research tool called ZMET, the Zaltman Metaphor Elicitation Technique. But it didn't sound like it was that great. So nothing will give us 100% confidence in advance. What it does and what it can do that's valuable is it can give you ideas of what to test next. And then you can do A/B splits in direct mail and find the answer. So it's valuable, but it's valuable as observation, not as conclusion, not as explanation, much less as theory. You can't get to theory that way, and you can't get to theory by running one commercial after another. You have to do the A/B splits, and you have to be able to track the results. Okay, so here's extreme market research. I don't like it. Poof. This is how you get the answer you want. Me neither. And he gets boinged away. Pie and face, soak, whoopee cushion, slime, electric shock, eject. Okay, we're having a focus group to test which questions to ask in our next focus group. That is exactly the right answer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's good for observation. It's not that good for conclusion. Okay, so now let's go over here to Mike Gunderson. Trigger-based direct mail marketing. What is that? Okay, if you're looking to increase conversions and boost sales, now is the time to explore triggered direct mail. And of course, one of them is, the biggest one right here is cart abandonment down here. Cart abandonment trigger. One of the best ones. 65% of carts are abandoned. I have that article over here. Triggering messages, turning lost leads into long customer life cycles. And that's basically about doing mail on abandoned carts. A postcard with a discount code, maybe even free shipping offer or something, some spiff, might be too tempting for the shopper to pass up. I also recommend, highly recommend, that you add an item. Don't just show them what they looked at, what's left in the cart. For some reason, they didn't want that. Show them the special of the week or the fashion pick of the week or something or other. Show them something else that would go with it, like Amazon says. People who bought these things also bought. Just say that. Don't say, we think you'll like this. Don't tell them that you think they'll like, because it offends me, to be honest. You don't know what I like. All you know is what I left in the cart, which obviously I didn't like that much. Okay, new customer trigger. Okay, how about let's reinforce the purchase? We would often, even in B2B, send a mailer with an offer before the shipment would even get there, especially in imprinted merchandise, which used to, in those days, took 6 weeks at least, 6 to 8 weeks just to build the thing. And so while they were waiting, we would send them another special because they still had positive emotion, thinking we would do it right. Okay, and so direct mail can give much stronger recall, can reinforce the decision. I read somewhere that car companies advertise their cars mostly to reinforce the decision that was made by the buyer, not to get new people to buy Ford, but to make people who bought Ford think it was a good decision. Remember? They made the decision emotionally. What if they're waiting for their car to get delivered? We want them to make sure that they think, oh yeah, that was a good decision. Oh yeah, it's got higher mileage than GMC, or it's got, better styling than Dodge. A thank you note or a signed letter from an influential person. So John Worth, one of the smartest direct mail guys I ever knew, who founded Woodworker Supply of New Mexico, he thought, he wondered about the impact of a thank you note in the box. This was. So he thought, how could I test that? How could I A/B split in the box? And I don't remember if I told him or he told me, but anyway, we came up with the idea of even and odd zip codes, although I caution him to avoid the zeros at the end because zeros tend to be like big office buildings or something like that. So he did. He tested even and odd. The even ones would get, or whatever, whichever. I think he did the odds because of that concern. So the odd ones got a thank you note. It only cost 10 cents or something to add it, plus labor, maybe it cost $1. Okay. So he added a little thank you note, thank you for your order, with a little signed card initialed by the packing person. He did that for 6 months, and then he looked at the difference between the even and the odd customers and whether they came back, what was their likelihood to come back. And guess what? The even was 20 or 30% or whatever. The one that had the thank you note was 20 or 30% higher. More than justified the cost of and trouble of the thank you note. So there's a testing tip for you. And we're actually using something like that with EDDM. EDDM is hard. We actually got permission from the Postal Service to do an A/B split with EDDM. It is possible to get that, but who knows if it would have been executed properly. But then we said, well, let's flip it the next week to make it even more valid. And so if you did that, you couldn't know who got the first one, and you wouldn't know who got the second one. So some people will get 2 of the same, some people will get, and some people will get 1 of each. And so that would have messed it up. So what we did was we said, let's alternate the carrier routes and mail one set of carrier routes, the A piece, one set the B piece, and then flip the carrier routes the next week and keep the QR codes the same so that everybody gets a fair shake, and after 2 weeks we can see what happened. So you can use geocodes, and you can, if you really want to be sneaky, this is a little hard for people on the packing line to do, but if you really want to be sneaky, you can also do like the interior digits instead of the end digit. You can do the 3rd digit or something like that. To make it a little more random. And you can actually, with a good database, our database actually used to deliver that. If you asked it, what's a good even split, we could get you that. So anyway, renewal reminder trigger. And this was especially Mike Gunderson recommends it as a retention device, a thank you note again, or that maybe they said they would come to a meeting, and you could remind them that the meeting is coming up, or here's a special card for a free dessert. If you bring the card with you, something like that. Where it might be like, I get a lot of these retirement dinners, free retirement dinner at the the nice restaurant, and a reminder with a free dessert or something like that would be a really, really good offer, I think, to make sure they come and to make sure that they get, and then they think they're special, because you were one of the first 10 respondents. Here's a card for a free dessert. It might not even be true, but it makes them feel special. Okay, triggers for potential lead generation, and this one was a little weak. Recent college graduates or newly married couples. That to me is not so much triggered as it is just a mailing list that you can get your hands on. Having a child, new movers, recently purchased an auto, and many, many more, right? And you can even get people who listed their home but haven't sold it yet. There's lots of lists available that are event-based, and that's what they're talking about right here. Okay, so excellent article by Mike Gunderson. I was trying to keep it under 10 minutes so I could upload it, but it's already up, I guess. So trigger-based direct mail is an effective, efficient way to engage with current leads and customers, and also a proven strategy for expanding your reach and increasing your direct mail leads. Just be sure to have somebody who knows what they're doing. Be sure also to like. I get like 250 impressions from LinkedIn, but only, a dozen likes. So if you're encountering this, give it a like. Then at least I'll know somebody's paying attention. Would appreciate it. Have a good day. Your friends will know you're smart. Bye-bye.